Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alex from Swoosh English, and today we will be looking at another letter and some corrections and some ways in which we can improve our writing in order to score as highly as possible in the OET. So welcome to everyone who is in the class today. I can see that already we've got quite a few participants in the Zoom app, which is fantastic. So hello to all of you who are already here, and it's great to see you. So just send me a little wave, send me a little hi to let me know who's here, so that I can so that I know who's here, and so that we can all benefit from being aware of each other. So hello Sabir, great to see you here, and also Saad, great to see you too. And Ratner as well. Hi, good afternoon to you. Hi, Han. Nian as well. Great to see you. Great to see you too, Sabir. Great, lots of people. Jennifer, Charity, Noor. Hi to all of you. And Mandrin. Hi to you. And Alina. Hi, Alina. Great to see you. And Anu as well. Hi to you, Anu. So I recognize some of you from previous classes that have been done. So great to see you back. And also, if you're new to Swoosh, or if you're new to these sorts of classes, hi to you as well. Great to see you too. So I hope you're all having a good afternoon. I hope you're ready today to give some feedback and to let me know your thoughts. Because when it comes to these sorts of classes, particularly when it comes to writing, everyone's got their own individual style. Everyone's got their own way of doing things. So it will be really interesting to get feedback from as many of you as possible, how you might have approached the tasks differently, and what you would regard as well as being good writing or a good style, and we can share these things. Obviously, part of this, when we're talking about writing, part of it is about style and part of it is about background. So for those of you who are maybe more used to American English, then you might have some expressions which are slightly different. I'm obviously from the UK. So I'm very much familiar with British English, and so there are some differences in terms of expression and some differences in terms of spelling as well. So it's interesting to look at these things. Of course, both British and American English are acceptable for the OET exam, as is Australian English as well. So there are lots of varieties which can be used. And so, yeah, if there are some stylistic differences, it can be interesting to discuss those. So just having a look at the Facebook group as well, I can see we've got some people watching there. So hi to Chosmi and Angel, Sheng, Norai. Hi to all of you who are watching in the Facebook group. Please share the video as usual. This obviously is a free class, so the more people that we're able to communicate with and the more people that get to watch this, the better. So just before I actually go to have a look at the letter specifically, I just want to share some information with you on behalf of Swoosh English. And it's just to let you know the fact that at the moment, if you are looking for more support, more intensive support in order to help you to pass the OET and get as high a score as possible, then you can find more courses at www.swooshenglish.com. So check out that website if you're looking for more support. And prices start at just $49. So you can have a look at that, and that you'll see that there are some packages. I'll mention that just at the end as well, just as a reminder. Okay. So let's have a look at the letter then. Oh, just before we do, I can see Mandarin, do you have any courses for pharmacists? Our courses are tailored for doctors and nurses. So with pharmacy, we don't have a specific course for pharmacists in the same way that we do for doctors and nurses. However, I do encourage you to have a look at the courses that we offer. There are, of course, many parts of the exam, such as the reading and the listening, which are relevant to all healthcare professionals. So you might find something useful there to have a look at. Okay, so as I was saying, let's have a look at the letter. So the letter that we're going to have a look at today is based on nursing, and just as it was before, but I do want to emphasize for the pharmacists out there, for the doctors out there, in terms of use of language, in terms of appropriacy, in terms of organization and structure, all of these things are relevant for all of the different professions within healthcare. So it's generalizable, and there's lots that we can use in order to support our learning, irrespective of our profession. So what I'm going to do first of all then is I'm going to share with you the case notes. So these are the Swoosh case notes. Some of you will have had a look at this before. For those of you who haven't seen it before, do take the opportunity to have a look at the case notes now, just so we know exactly what the letter is going to be based on. So I'm just going to share this then so that we can all see them together. Okay. So here are the case notes. I'll just make that full screen. Here we are. Can everybody see these clearly? Make them as big as possible. Because as I say, obviously it's important we look through the case notes, because then we know what information the letter is based on, and we can then make a judgment as to what we think was strong about the letter, and also what we think could be improved. So great. So Sabir, Mandran, yep, it looks like you can both see these notes clearly. That's fantastic. So here we are then. So obviously pay attention to the key information we have here. We've got the patient's name. Pay attention to spelling. That could be important. The names which come up will reflect a variety of different cultures. Britain is a multicultural country, as is Australia, as is the United States of America. So it's important to pay attention to names and spelling. And here we are, you can see it's a nursing letter. You are a registered nurse in the coronary care unit at St. John's Hospital. Okay, so I'm just going to scan down and I'll leave it just here for a minute or so that you can all read it. And then I will just scan down bit by bit as we go along, so that we've all got a good basis in terms of the actual information. So we can see here then we've got the date of birth of the patient, we've got the address, the date of admission, and we've also got the diagnosis, the myocardial infarction, the surgery which has been done, and then we see here that on the 7th of August, the patient arrived at hospital via ambulance, and we can see the symptoms that were associated. We can see the examinations which were conducted, the X-ray, the ECG, and the diagnosis. And the treatment, we can see here the treatment which was offered, and we can see the medication which was provided as well. Some social history for the patient. So she is a Moroccan refugee in Australia. So she's been in Australia since 2010, married, she has a large family, she's got 5 children. And then a little bit more on the social information you can see here as well. So for those of you who are familiar with writing OET letters, you will have done this before. Those who are less familiar, you're going through these case notes and you're deciding as you read through them, what information is going to be relevant to the letter that I'm going to write and which information is not relevant. So you want to keep your letter concise. You don't want to include too much irrelevant information, because the important thing is that the person who's reading your letter should be able to retrieve the important information as quickly as possible. They shouldn't have to be spending too much time going through information they don't need in order to get to the information they do need. So you're constantly then going through that process, making that selection. What do I need? What do I not need? Okay. So you can see that's more social information there. And here is the discharge plan. Okay. So the task, the most important part of the letter, of course, is the task. Using the information in the case notes, write a letter to social worker William Joseph, and then you've got the address explaining the patient's current situation and needs. So you're writing to a social worker, so you're looking at these case notes and deciding which information do I think is relevant in the context of the social worker. What can the social worker help with? What should the social worker be aware of? So that's what you need to be deciding as you go through these case notes. So just from what you've looked at so far in the chat, if you could just share, what do you think? What do you think are some of the most important things that we need to include from these case notes? So maybe, you know, sort of 1, 2, I don't want you to include everything because obviously that's what you're going to do when you write the letter, but just some really important things which you think should definitely be included in this letter. So if you could share that in the chat, whether that be on Facebook, whether that be on the Zoom, then let me know. So great. So Noor's saying the social history. So Noor, do you think all of the social history is something that we need here? Possibly, but you've gone for that social history. Obviously, the fact that the social worker is the one who will be addressing this case means that social history is clearly important. Okay. So Anu agrees, the social history of the patient, absolutely. Anything else you think is really important that we should include in this letter? Okay, so Fang, the myocardial infarction, surgery and mobility. Yeah, definitely. It's important the social worker knows this because the social worker is going to need to know the state of health of the patient. So yeah, I think we definitely need to include this as well. Anything else you think that we should definitely be including in the letter? Just let me know in the chat. Okay, the discharge plan as well. So yeah, Alina, smoker, obese, language barrier. So yeah, a lot of the social background, non-yet diagnosis, social history, discharge plan, current medication. Yep. Okay, so yeah, so a lot of comments then in relation to the social history of the patient and also the discharge plan. So let's have a quick look at the Facebook group to see any contributions coming there. We've got a few new people just joined the class. Hi, Mumtaz. Shini, hi, how you doing? Businge as well. Hi from Uganda in East Africa. Hi to you. And also Tintu as well. Hi, Tintu. So good, yeah. So we seem to be agreeing then on the main points that we need to include in the letter: the surgery and the social history. So absolutely, yeah, this is something which is important information, no question about it. So let's have a look then at the actual letter. So this was a letter written by an OET candidate. So we can analyze this and we can see, does it include all of the relevant information? And also, is there anything that could be improved in the letter? Okay, so I'll share it with you now so that we can read this. As you're reading it through, as I say, let me know. Do you think it includes the important content points? And are there any errors which could be improved? So let me just share this with you. So this was actually a written letter, which you can see here, which is what you'll have to do in the actual exam. You'll have to write it by hand. A lot of you, of course, with us doing these classes online, write things via word processor, which is fine, but it is important as well that you are familiar with writing by hand, because as I say, that's what you will have to do in the exam. So here we are. So I'll make this bigger just so we can see it all clearly. So just let me know in the chat if you can see this clearly, and then I'll scroll down in just a moment so that we can read the letter together. Okay, so Alina's letting me know that she can read it. Fantastic. And I'll start to scroll down very soon. So as you're reading it then, for this first part of the letter, you can see the first paragraph and you can see the beginning of the second paragraph. Any comments that you have, any errors that you can see, just let me know. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down a little bit now then so we can read the next part of the letter. Okay. Okay, so let's have a quick look then. So we've got some comments here then. Yes, okay, myocardial infection and misspelling, absolutely. So there is an error there. Well done, Romana, for picking that up. What else have we got? In the first paragraph, write request to social worker. It would be good to have some direct addressing of the social worker. I agree. So yeah, so he requires the home care or requires the attention of a social worker, something like this. Yeah, would be good to include in that first paragraph. So some good points there. He's included the age, so he hasn't done the date of birth, he's done the age instead. You've got a bit of flexibility there. The standard way of doing it is to include the date of birth. I agree. He was presented. Yes, very good. Yeah, it shouldn't be he was presented. He presented with severe chest pain. Okay, so very good. So already we're picking up on some key errors here. Very good. So let's have a look now then at, in more detail, at the second paragraph. Okay, so some comments here, comma between Mr. Gattani and who? Okay, yes, absolutely, yes. Very good point. I'm writing regarding Mr. Gattani, comma, who has been discharged today from coronary care unit. Absolutely, very good, Charity. Yes, so Narayan, yes, we should put a comma after Mr. Gattani. We definitely should, yeah. When who is following. Okay. Yeah, so social history could go before the hospitalization, potentially. Yeah, with it being a letter to a social worker, I think there's a good argument for that. Yeah. Okay. So, and also sticking with the first paragraph, instead of repeating the patient's name, we could say the above mentioned patient, because we've already got the patient's name here. So yeah, we could avoid that repetition by using that sort of device. So that's a good point, Abena. Good. Okay, let's have a quick look at the Facebook chat. Had treatment is wrong. Supposed to be was treated instead. Let's just have a look at that. So we've got a comment there about the verb form. Yeah, was treated. I agree. Was treated would run a little bit more naturally there. Yeah, I think that's a good point. There, Morga has been treated with. Yeah, is another possibility. Norai. Purpose of the letter is not mentioned. It definitely could be clearer at the beginning. Yeah, Ranjali as well didn't mention the purpose of the letter. So some really good points here. He works as a storekeeper instead of working. Yeah, so the difference there is he works as a storekeeper. You're talking about facts, reporting information. If you say is working, it's almost like it's something he's doing on a temporary basis. So I think that's a good point. Okay, lots of repetition of the patient's name, says Nonye. Okay, some really good point here. Some really good points here. Good stuff. Okay, so let's go then to the final part of the letter and see if we've got any comments here. Let's have a look at this. Okay, so let's see what we've got. Okay, so possibly rephrasing the first sentence says may. Can we rephrase the first sentence regarding the appointment? Yeah, we could do. I think, yeah, on discharge, cardiologist appointment booked on the 23rd at 2 p.m. Yeah. Yeah, I think definitely that third paragraph, we could use a different sort of introduction, a kind of topic sentence, so to make it clear that we're making requests now. So as a result of the above mentioned situation, Mr. Gattani will need assistance with something to make the link between the previous paragraph and social history more clear with the requests. So that would be useful. Romana says valuable sounds creepy. Okay, I don't know if it's creepy, but it is. There is a grammatical mistake there. That could be corrected, definitely. A follow-up visit with a cardiologist has been scheduled. That would be a good way of expressing this. Yeah, so some good suggestions here. Let's have a quick look at the Facebook as well. Yeah, valuable should be replaced. Definitely the value. Well done, Morga. That's absolutely right. Rini is saying in the outpatient department. Okay, so that's an expression that could have been used. Yeah, and the intro should include the purpose of the letter as well. Absolutely. Good. Yeah, cardiologist is a small letter. We don't need to capitalize cardiologist. Okay, really good. Some really good points being picked up here. So what I want to share with you next then are some comments which were made about the letter, looking at the different criteria that the letter is graded on. Okay, so the letter wasn't rewritten like last time, but there are some useful comments. We can have a look at them together and we can see how similar they were to the comments you were making. So some really good comments have been made today, some really good identification of how the letter could have been improved. Just before I share the feedback with you, how did you feel that the letter dealt with the case notes? Do you think it included the important information from the case notes? What would you say, yes or no? Okay, so Charity says no. Why? What was missing? We've got a few yeses here. Ramana Sad say yes. Ramya say no. So if you say no, what do you think could have been included? What was missing? Okay, so yeah, there were, okay, so the barrier of language, Salu is saying. So we didn't include information about the language barrier. I mean, he did say that English is not his first language. He said there are some language barriers. So he did include that information. Okay, so important social background left out according to Charity. So what background information was left out, do you think, that could have been or should have been included? Yeah, barrier to communication. So that would have been nice. I mean, obviously, language barrier was used, which has the same meaning, but you could have paraphrased it to say there would be a communication barrier. Interpersonal relationship, Abina. Yeah, I mean, I guess he could have included some information, couldn't he, about her family as well. I mean, the fact that he's going to be helping her from the perspective of being a social worker. She's got 5 children. Yeah, there we go, Charity. Yeah, really good. She's got 5 children. So that could have been dealt with in the letter. Although he did mention the job. So he does say he's working as a storekeeper. So that was included. But certainly the familial background could have been included as well, especially with the fact she's got such a large family. Okay, so let's have a quick look then at some feedback that was given to the candidate. And you'll see actually that that a lot of the comments are not too dissimilar to what you've been saying, which is encouraging. Okay, so here we are then. So this was the feedback. So I'll just make this as large as possible. Just one moment, sorry. Okay. Okay, so here we are. So this is the feedback which was given. Okay, just Narayan's made a good point. I guess the letter is under minimal word count. So you are advised, of course, to write between 180 to 200 words. In this case, the letter was around 280 sorry, around 180 words. So it was on the short side. So definitely including something about the patient's familial background would have helped to increase that word count a bit as well. So here are some errors then in terms of language that were picked up. So there were quite a few errors in terms of articles, which is a common thing which occurs with the letter. So coronary care unit, it should be the coronary care unit, okay, because it's a specific care unit in a specific hospital. So we need to use the in this case. Myocardial infarction, of course, there was a misspelling. There were two misspellings, but the worst one was when he put infection. So that was picked up on. ECG, and then there should be a comma before monitoring as well. So some punctuation was missed in the letter. In regards was incomplete. So if we can have a quick look at that part again. So in regards, Mr. Gattani, you can't use that as a discourse marker or as a cohesive device. So it should be in regards to the patient's social history. That's what should be used here. So he missed out some really important information there to make that clearer. He is working, so he missed out the is, he just put he working. He could also, as one of you suggested, have put he works. Language barrier, so let's just have a quick look there. I've highlighted an S. Yeah, so there are some language barrier. So the error here is he's used some and then used a singular noun with a language barrier. So really it should have been there, however, there is a language barrier. If you use a some, then it should have an S on, or just a language barrier. So it's just a grammatical mistake there in relation to the language barrier. Again, article missed, a cardiologist appointment was booked. Okay, so I think he's missed there the auxiliary verb was, I think he just put an appointment booked. So that was another error that was made in terms of grammar. Continuing to have a look at this, at the outpatient department, so there was a mistake in terms of prepositions there, so we should have used at. And this was picked up by some of you as well, the value of taking, not the valuable of taking. So there was an incorrect use there of part of speech, value being the noun, valuable being an adjective. It would be beneficial. The original expression used was it beneficial. So that's really poor English there. It would be beneficial is what he should have put. And then also teach him. So he was missing the object pronoun. And also he misspelled hesitates. He spelt it with A instead of E. So there were quite a few of these errors that cropped up here. In terms of then feedback on each of the criterion, here it is. So overall task fulfillment. The task is of an appropriate length and focuses on the relevant information from the case notes. Some vocabulary is copied directly from the notes, however. Should stick that in there, sorry. However, for example, language barrier and working as the storekeeper. So he should try to paraphrase information from the case notes more often. So that's important. If you're just copying language directly from the case notes, you're not showing your individual style. You're not showing your own resources in terms of grammar and expression. So it's important to paraphrase where possible. The purpose of the letter could also have been clearer, and social history could have been included earlier in the letter as well. So those were the points that you guys were making as well, wasn't it, at the end? Appropriateness of language. The letter was appropriately organized with most important information included at the beginning and the main purpose stated at the start. I'll put a question mark there because it wasn't completely stated at the start, actually. So maybe these comments were a little bit generous here. So there's a bit of a question mark there. Legible urgency is appropriate and an appropriate register is used. Yeah, the appropriate register is used because the letter was written in a formal register. So we can give credit for that. Comprehension of stimulus, a full understanding of the case notes is demonstrated. Relevant requests are made within the letter. So there was good comprehension of stimulus. And linguistic features, grammar errors occur with omitted articles and errors in preposition and verb forms. Errors, do not impede meaning, however. Linking phrases are used generally with accuracy. A mixture of simple and complex sentences is included. And finally, the presentation features, punctuation is used correctly and effectively, and spelling errors are rare although present with infarction. Paragraphs are clearly spaced, handwriting is legible. So at least we could read his handwriting quite clearly. Okay, so those that was the feedback then. As I say, maybe a little bit generous in terms of saying that the important information was included at the beginning, because actually I think he could have made that clearer. But on the other comments, I think they were pretty much in accord with what we were saying leading up to the analysis of the letter. So those are some ways then in which the letter could have been improved. You can see the overall grade was a 3 out of 5. So we need to be improving the spelling. We need to be making the purpose clearer at the beginning. We need to be paraphrasing more in order to improve this letter to get it up to a 4 or even potentially a 5. We can see the changes that need to be made in order to achieve that. Okay. So just looking at a few questions then that are coming up here. Romana asks, can I write a letter starting from the present condition, or do I have to write in a chronological pattern? It doesn't have to be chronological. The important thing is that the organization is logical. So you should include the most important information at the beginning, and then you include the extra information as the letter develops. That's the important thing. If you have a case where it's a historic condition and it develops in specific stages, then it would be logical to have a chronological structure in this case, but it all depends on the actual case. So in this case, I think the logical situation would have been probably to start with the potentially with the social history, then look at the medical backgrounds, why the patient was admitted, and then you could have the requests. Or you could start with a medical complaint if you think, look, the medical complaint is the most recent complaint, so I want to make the social worker aware of this, and then move on to the social history. So I think you can make an argument for either one in this case, but it has to be logical. That's the key. So Sabir is saying it's grade 3. So grade 3 would be a C in this case. Charity, is there a sample grade A for this letter? We don't have a sample grade A for this letter, unfortunately. We don't, but the detailed feedback is there, so you could see the changes that could be made to make this letter a sample grade A. Are we allowed to post handwritten letters in our VIP group? Yes, you are, but you have to scan it in. Actually, let me backtrack on that. No, for the OET group, it should be written by word processor, just because it makes it so much easier for examiners to give feedback. So this was a handwritten letter because this was submitted to us directly via email. So for the Facebook group, keep it at the moment written via word processor. But if you want to practice handwriting, obviously you can do that yourself, and then afterwards you can type it up, and then we can give you corrections based on that. Okay. Do I take the class in the VIP group? I give a lot of feedback on letters in the VIP group. So yeah, I do give a lot of feedback there. An acute foot infection, acute chest pain, is that correct? Do I need to add an article? So he has, yeah, so it's an infection. For pain, in this case, pain can be both countable and uncountable. When we talk about chest pain, we usually use it in an uncountable fashion. So we wouldn't need to use an article before chest pain. Okay, fantastic. Sabir's just joined the group. So great. I look forward to seeing you there, Sabir. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so the social worker doesn't know the medical condition in details, as it was mentioned for the first paragraph. Yeah, so I mean, so you want to make the social worker aware of the background, the fact that he suffered a myocardial infarction, he suffered the heart attack. You want to make the social worker aware of that and the drugs that he is on. Apart from that, then you really do focus on the social history, because that's what's going to be most relevant to the social worker in this context. Okay, so just have a quick look at the Facebook group here just to see any comments. So we've had it's been shared. Bridget, what grade was this letter? This would be graded at a C in the OET. So it wouldn't be a pass. You would need to make the changes from the examiner feedback in order to get this up to a grade B or an A. Thank you, Tina and Bincy, for sharing this class. That's fantastic. So it just remains then for me just to reiterate what I said at the beginning of the class. We do have intensive support. So if you want to be like Sabir and you want to have some of that intensive support, then just have a look at our courses at www.swooshenglish.com. And as I said, prices start from just $49. So thank you very much to all of you who have participated today in the class and have given their comments, some really valuable comments here. And I look forward to speaking to you again soon. Take care.